What are we talking about? What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
All sports. Marion Jones, born October 12, 1975. Racing, an event that can be traced back to probably the first humans on Earth, with competition being embedded into our DNA as a natural state of being. Sigmund Freud once said about competition that humans are born screaming for attention and full of organic drives for fulfillment in various areas. This quote couldn't be more relatable to this story, and you'll see why later. It wasn't until 1921, after the women's sports movement organized women's events, that females were even taken seriously enough to compete on the same field as men in a sport that before that was male only. In 1928, women were officially allowed to compete in the Olympics in track and field held in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Since then, there's been many champions, medalists, and records broken. There's also been countless bans from the sport for doping as well, which is taking performance-enhancing drugs that gave you more energy and boost to your skills for an amount of time. Basically, eliminating the work needed to be successful in your sport. You can already see where this would be a problem, not only in sports, but track in particular, where a fair chance is the only way to determine who's number one and is age sensitive. They adjust the lanes, beginning placements, and use the speed of sound as a green light to ensure everyone involved be given a fair opportunity to compete. When those lines are crossed, or should I say enhanced, those races might as well have never happened. Like knowing the answers to a test, or winning lottery numbers, or even knowing the future. That amount of power is a killer to the other athletes beside you that didn't use the enhancements you did. In track and field, because of the short window of opportunity these athletes get to compete, especially on a stage like the Olympics, every fair chance counts. After a certain age, usually faster than most top sports, you don't get that body you had 4 years ago back. So to beat someone with enhancing drugs in your vein can change that person's life forever that finished second and should have been first, or fourth that should have medaled had it not been for you. That's endorsements loss, disappointment for you and your country, and a short chance to make your passion a living based on your performances. After denying doping, she was erased from the record books and stripped of all her medals from 2000 to 2001, including the record 5 she achieved in Sydney. Her 8 relay teammates in that span were also stripped of their medals because of her infractions. She was on pace to becoming one of the most dominant athletes of her time, regardless of gender, before being caught, and denounced any athlete taking enhancement drugs beforehand, all to be found guilty herself.
They commended her courageous act by admitting that she tested positive, and I don't understand how you can commend that.
Here's how Marion Jones went from atop the sports world to disgraced athlete in the shot of a gun. Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Marion Jones was a 5'10" female athlete from Los Angeles, California that competed in track and field as a sprinter and long jumper. With the loss of her stepfather, she turned to sports as an outlet. By 15, she was already one of the best athletes in the nation at both track and field and basketball. A 6-time All-American in track and also a national championship winning college basketball player at the University of North Carolina in 1994. During this time, she won 3 ACC titles and was a 2-time All-ACC selection and the most valuable player of the 1997 ACC tournament. She finished her legendary college basketball career 3rd in steals and scoring average and 4th all-time in assists. She could have been a high WNBA draft pick in the WNBA's first season in 1997, but decided to focus on track and field and the 2000 Sydney Olympics.
It's
Stunt number 1,
time to move
on the right track.
You're never going to convince everybody that you're telling the truth.
youth, a very delicate time in life. One of those delicate features of being young is your mind can still be easily molded in those development stages, and you can just as easily be influenced into doing the wrong things. Marion Jones, in my opinion, was on the right track athletically all the way up to her college days, then influences got to her and led her in the wrong direction. Whether that's definite or not, Marion herself stated that the results of what I'm about to speak on hurt her personally and her image as a drug-free athlete. At some point during her time at UNC, she began dating one of her track coaches, world champion shot putter CJ Hunter. The relationship got serious enough to where he was forced to resign as a coach should he continue dating Marion to comply with the university staff rules against relationships with student athletes. The two continued dating, and the year after she graduated UNC in 1997, they got married and trained together for the 2000 Sydney Olympics. And this is the exact point I think all things went off track for Jones. Up to her graduating college, Marion dominated any sports she was involved in, track included. In high school, she won the CIF State Meet 100-meter event 4 years in a row, along with being the Gatorade Player of the Year for track 3 straight years. In basketball, she was equally as good, even earning a scholarship to North Carolina as a basketball player. She never needed performance-enhancing drugs, unless we're to think she's been taking them since 12 years old, because she's been dominating female sports since then. But as mentioned, a young mind is a very delicate and vulnerable thing. CJ Hunter met Marion when she was 16, and after he got the track coaching job in 1995, the two started a serious relationship. During the Olympics and right after Marion won her first of 5 medals, she took a pause to attend a press conference to defend her husband, found guilty 4 consecutive times for steroid use to which he couldn't explain. This was the first time the drug enhancement light was on her publicly, and it hurt her image even if she was clean. It also initiated investigations into Jones, who now had to begin answering questions pertaining to her and doping. She strongly denied doping and condemned any athlete for doing it as well. Of course, we'd later find out she had been doping the entire time, along with her husband, who later turned on her and confessed. The image hit was too much for their relationship, so she filed for divorce in 2002. After her divorce, she had a child in 2003 with another disgraced athlete, Tim Montgomery, found guilty of steroid use and banned in 2005 for 2 years. In 2004, CJ Hunter admitted to seeing Marion take PED injections during the Olympics, which all but sealed her fate, along with other witnesses, including BALCO Labs founder. She was sentenced to 6 months in federal prison for lying to the feds.
When I saw some
Stunt
of
number
these
2,
red flags
doping
in my past,
and denying
what do
it.
I wish I would have done at that moment? I wish I would have.
We've talked about how unfair using any performance advantage is to fellow athletes, but even worse is what Marion Jones did during those times. Not only did she condemn any athlete that would cheat their pairs, while she was in fact cheating her pairs, when confronted with evidence that she did, she adamantly lied about it to federal agents and in press conferences. In 2003, a Bay Area lab was accused by sprint coach Terrence Graham of supplying undetected enhancement supplements to athletes, including Marion Jones. Her, along with founder Victor Conti, were given the harshest punishment resulting from the investigation, with Marion overall serving the most significant time. 6 months in a federal prison compared to Barry Bonds' overturned on appeal case, Tammy Thomas's 6 months house arrest, and Trevor Graham's 1-year house arrest. Had she not been so defiant and condemning in the media about her stance as a clean athlete, she may have gotten a lighter sentence. Had she confessed and say she was just taking what was advised, she may not have received the punishment she did at all. But I guess that would be lying anyway, right? Because because later she'd admit that she knew what she was taking and all the accounts and witness statements were in fact true. She was banned for 2 years from track and field and announced her retirement from competition effective immediately. And just like that, the next great American athlete high on success was brought down. Stunt number 3, narcissistic personality disorder.
I tell you that I have betrayed your trust. I'm extremely disappointed today.
We can make tons of excuses as to why Marion Jones would risk everything she'd built in sports, especially when she would have been a great athlete anyway, to use performance enhancements. One excuse I don't think can be easily overlooked is I really believe Marion Jones was a narcissist. Narcissism usually gets a negative connotation, but it's a fact of some of our being, a fact of life. Back to Sigmund Freud. It's evident Marion was screaming for and loved every second of the attention that came with being the best at whatever she did. Inflated sense of self-importance. You have to have that to stand in all those press conferences and not even blink defending your innocence, at the same time giving the electric chair to any athlete that did cheat. Troubled relationships. 2 of which were also found guilty of taking enhancements and didn't last very long in Marion's life. And lastly, a lack of empathy for others. One has to have that to deceive someone else in any way, whether it's lying, stealing, fraud, manipulation, or any of the sort. It takes a person with either no heart at all or a narcissist to continuously do those things and glow when receiving praise for it. Again, it's not necessarily a bad thing, and all narcissists aren't bad people. It's just a personality trait. One I think Marion Jones definitely exhibited, and one I think stunted her growth because, again, she didn't need to do it. She was made to be a dominant athlete. She already was before I think she began using. But with her narcissistic personality, it was near inevitable she would be attracted to the idea of enhancing your performance to ensure she always shined in the spotlight. All in all, Marion Jones was still a great athlete to me. I remember as a teen watching this play out, and I couldn't believe it was true because she's always come off as a pretty genuine person. Like she cared just enough to lend her attention even when everyone wanted hers. She always smiled deep enough to show her imperfections, and I always thought that was special about her. It made her different, but relatable. And she always had that competitive fire I've only witnessed truly in 3 athletes of my time: Jordan, Kobe, and Marion Jones. The killer, she had that. Mamba mentality and focus, she owned that. But at some point she got nervous. Nervous about a life where she lost and wasn't the best. That and bad influence ruined her track career. She'd played 2 seasons in the WNBA after prison. She's now a personal trainer, author, mother, and speaker where she uses every opportunity she gets to warn young athletes about the dangers on the road she went down, but also that it's important to bounce back and not let that be your life story. Salute to Marion Jones, much respect, but for these reasons, her growth was stunted. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.
Ultimately, I hold myself responsible. At that point, I decided I had made the ultimate decision to lie.